History is being made deep in the Australian outback as floodwaters continue to stream into Lake Eyre, lifting it to levels seldom witnessed since European settlement. Somebody closely watching this extraordinary event is one of the nation's great artists, John Olsen. He was entranced by the lake when he first painted it in the 1970s, and he's returned many times. Now he's gone back to capture the majesty of the natural phenomenon that's close to his heart. Paul Lockyer reports.
See, look at this, isn't this really? See, we're playing a very good game there. See, look how it's becoming part of it. I mean, the way that's blending, it's so beautiful, just to give that draining effect.
At 83, John Olsen still gets excited by the creative process, especially when the subject is Lake Eyre.
Really gobsmacked with the sheer scale of it. And it comes to you that, yes, it is an inland sea. Just don't think it's just a lake. It's a huge expanse of water. And one can look to the horizon and the lake is still going. I mean, wow.
When an opportunity came to return to the dead heart, now pulsating with life, John Olsen seized the chance.
It's like going to shake hands with an old friend.
He first ventured to Lake Eyre in the flooding of 1974. It deeply influenced his work, and he has returned to paint many times since.
There is something in Lake Eyre that is an enormous pull because of its complication and its question marks.
Olsen ranks amongst Australia's greatest landscape painters, and there's no bigger supporter than the long-time director of the New South Wales Art Gallery, Edmund Capon.
In the panorama of Australian artists, oh, he's up there in the stratosphere. You know, John looks at the landscape and we look at it and see, OK, it's there. He can see and feel all that sort of unseen life and energy that's actually making things happen. Virtually every Olsen painting is actually a celebration.
The New South Wales Art Gallery has close to 130 Olsen works, including 5 Bells, his celebrated 1963 painting of Sydney Harbour.
Whenever you look at any of his paintings, like 5 Bells, there's these straggling lines of life that seem to be sort of, dripping down into every part of his psyche. It's colourful, it's emotive. You look at his work and you can feel the enthusiasm of making that picture sort of bubbling up in the picture itself.
Oh my God, there's something really wonderful coming up. And we're going to get this big time.
John Olsen is building up a new store of knowledge for yet another series of Lake Eyre paintings.
There's much more white, but there's much more of this powdery blue.
He's sharing his passion for this remote place with his son Tim, an art dealer, and grandson James.
Nothing makes me happier than to see him fascinated or busy with something. So to go to Lake Eyre at his age, for me, was like taking him on a little holiday.
So I summoned up me pack horse and whistled to me dog. Woof, 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 woof. Cause you cover a lot of country and the old jig-jog.
John Olsen has always lived life to the full and embraced fellow artists. Luke Skiberis was invited to join this trip, witnessing the majesty of Lake Eyre for the first time.
This afternoon has broken a whole new frontier for me in my work. I can feel it's very, very emotional.
Artists are always fascinated with the idea of positive and negative space. And the fact that when this lake fills, from what is an empty space becomes a full place. And there it is in the middle of nowhere.
The concept of the void almost, the infinity. And in a way, he sees that infinity, and then it comes down to all these moments of detail that actually sort of put life into that infinity.
In his studio near Bowral, in the New South Wales Southern Highlands, John Olsen reaches into his memory to construct his work.
I have an ability that I can't remember names, but I never forget a landscape.
Olsen was struck by the explosion in nature he encountered when he first travelled out to see the floods in the mid-1970s.
It was such a surprise to see, like, here we are in the centre of Australia, and there's seagulls nesting, and there's pelicans, and the whole of the lake is viable. It's a kind of a miracle.
Again, the arid centre is bursting into life, a rare event that will end all too soon as a desert reasserts itself.
So this strange phenomenon, and it has an enormous pull to Australians. It's though that it invades their unconscious, that there's something else that's so radically different from the sophisticated urban life that most of them live. And that gives the proper scale.
Olsen is painting 10 works to go on display at an international art exhibition in Hong Kong. He works quickly, immersing himself in the task. The works were displayed in Tim Olsen's gallery in Sydney before being shipped to Hong Kong.
He's been able to connect himself with that landscape as though he's been looking at it all his life, you know. Wow.
The delivery of each new painting adds to an Olsen collection on Lake Eyre that stretches back over a generation. And still, the artist thirsts for more.
The sheer sort of feeling of a huge inland sea is just so incredibly exciting.
There's a kind of universality to his work. You know, it's got a kind of breadth of image. But the wonderful thing is, when you look at his work, it could only have come out of Australia.
John Olsen is already thinking about his next trip to the centre. The pull of Lake Eyre is as strong as ever.
And you're looking at something that has never changed and hopefully will never change. It's called the big wow factor.
Paul Lockyer with that report.